Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. Today I wanted to talk about undersea mining and why there's a need to ban it. People all over the world are dependent on the minerals that can be mined from the oceans, the bottom of the sea. And it's getting harder and harder for people to live without those or function. Shouldn't say live, but to function without those, like cell phones. How do you function without a cell phone? These days, everything is dependent on cell phones. It's getting harder, and even homeless people a lot of times at least in this area, have cell phones. They may not have a place to live, but they're dependent on cell phones because they have to function with one, and people will give them whatever. So what I'm going to say though is, years ago I had a prophecy that this was before the technology was available for mining the oceans, those big huge machines that are used. We got a prophecy that once they were established, that we knew it was going to be harder and harder to undo them, to ban them, as the technological drive would be there for them, and the justification for them, for the lack of them, the need for these natural resources. But the problem we got is, it's going to wipe life off the planet. We've got undersea mining is another existential threat that we have. Okay, so it's the oceans work like batteries, and when this ocean the sun shines on it, the energy is stored in the oceans. Now this is something that I have looked into, but I'm not an expert on it. But what I will tell you that is, if the technology for undersea mining, in a way, let's say it's also like nuclear weapons, nuclear energy, where the technology is there, but it hasn't passed technological review yet. So you have a resistance to something, and then you have this drive that is forcing it to go forward, and then it's like the voices that are being not heard are basically, it can't stand up to this wall of resistance that's happening. Okay, so now let's say there's the drive right now, the drive to ban abortion. There's been the drive for nuclear power, putting nuclear power in, without understanding, let's say, the problems that are associated, the ripples of effects that go out. So what I'm going to tell you, if you listen to my previous video on abortion and the fact that there is no need to have abortions, there is that letting go of a child, if it's an unalienable right, then basically there is God has a solution to this, and instead of ripples of effects that are causing, like, wiping life off the planet, then existential threats, basically, instead, the ones that are God created will raise it up, and our evolution will go up instead of down. So that's what I wanted to talk about right now, was how there is a solution, a technological solution for undersea mining instead of undersea mining. There's also nuclear power. Seems like it's such a logical thing for us, and then we had to deal with the tsunami from Japan and all the problems that were associated in the ocean and things like that. The earthquake causing problems. Nuclear power needs to be banned also, and that is because of the same problem. It's an existential threat to the planet. And I'll go into that in another idea. But it is said with abortion, there is a way to let go of a fetus based on God's idea, and it doesn't interfere with our purpose in life. There's a way to deal with the viruses, and I've talked about that. And that is where people keep going up, and that is we have to deal with the sociological triggers that dealt with that, and the international government will solve this problem. Well, if the international government existed, undersea mining would be banned. If the international government existed, nuclear power would be banned. Now, I know that when I say that, there's this big, huge wall of resistance that is coming at, and the voices of, let's say, the voices of reason that offer a solution are not being heard. It's like people are willing to put their own interests ahead of what is in everyone's best interest, but it's not in anyone's best interest, let's say, to wage war. Why should we waste money on waging war when disputes can be settled in court rather than the battlefield, and the money that's wasted can go to the people instead? Why would a group of people put their own interests above what's in everyone else's best interest, including their own? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the solution to undersea mining. The idea of that is something that I'm going to explain, and I've talked about this before when I talked about how what causes alien spaceships to crash. I know this sounds going to sound really weird, but the human body has, let's say that there's an as above, so below idea, and the same things happen on every level. So God, with a wider perspective, can explain to us how to solve these problems. Now, so how alien spaceships travel is interdimensionally. Now, if your perspective on the dimensions is a line, a point, a line, and a circle, or whatever, then you're not understanding what the dimensions are. The third dimension is it's like a spiral idea, and that's where the spiral came in of let's say the Fibonacci numbers. The third dimension and the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension are like that. They're let's say paradigm shifts in your thinking. You can travel, so that's how the aliens travel. They are like third or fourth or fifth dimensional beings who can travel up to the, let's say, the eighth dimension, travel, and then come down. When the aliens travel, they go like this. They move different directions. Okay, so I did a book with my guide that retro engineers an alien space drive. Okay, now the drive, there's the different parts to it, and that is, so we have in our bodies we have 7 chakras, and then we have the ones, let's say, the 7 dimensions, and then we have the 5 dimensions, which are the kingdoms. Okay, now this is where it is right here. This is like a human body, and this bases our chakras and our relationships. So as we're looking at this is like a honeycomb, but this is like the oceans. This is the oceans. This is what the earth has dimensions also. Lady Gaia, the female aspect of God, is the Earth Mother and Universe Mother. So we have all these dimensions right here. Lady Gaia has these dimensions. Okay, this is where 12 is. It's a 12th dimensional being. The oceans. This level down here is like the oceans, and this is like let's say a copper honeycomb that's made, and we asked how it sorts it, and they said the answer that I got was that this is seawater in here. The ocean water basically is like electrolytes that store it has a certain pH and certain electrolytes, store the energy of the sun. When you have a win-win agreement, like with God, are you willing to stand on universal law? If this is you and your chakras, then this is like a 12-story building and God lives on the 12th floor. Your family lives on the first floor. Your adversaries live on the second floor. Your flower of life people are here, and then the other ones are like, this is like the top 5 are the kingdoms. So if you look at this is what the oceans are like. So the oceans are like this area down here that store the energy. When you if you have you have this machine, you don't need to have anything else. This is what how alien spaceships function. This is the power source, a free power source invention that alien spaceships drive on. And then this is the energy, the storage energy of it. But then the drive is different. It functions differently. It's another part of that, which is something that mankind is not capable of dealing with yet. And that is like dealing with the interdimensional idea of it, how it goes interdimensionally. All right, so if we don't need to have anything else but this, and we don't have to mine the oceans for lithium batteries. We don't, because we have the batteries from the ocean. We can put ocean water the way it is into this free power source invention, and we have the power. And because our physical bodies, this is us. This is based on, if we took let's say a video of a human body and just did the chakras and the energy in our relationships, this basically is what we have that functions on a higher level. It's like God's body here. It's the Earth Mother's body. It's our body on this level, but then it's also the universe's body and how it functions too, all the water in the universe. Okay, in fact, I just read an article that the comet Leonard is acting strangely because there doesn't seem to be any tail right now. It's getting closer to the sun and the tail is gone. So the water, where did the water go? Okay, it's out in space, right. So what I'm saying here is we can ban undersea mining, and we don't need we don't need to do that. If we do it, if it goes through and it bans, then throw this away. We'll never go out into the stars. Mankind will never go anywhere. We'll wipe life off the planet. Because if you take all of this minerals out of the water, if you continue to put energy into it, then it gets hot. I live on the west coast of the United States. I live in a place that's dealing with drought all the time. We could be facing our forests, West Coast forests, turning into deserts. There's other places around the world where where the deserts dried up and died, got too hot. So what happens is we are, let's say, close to the Clipperton Clarion zone, which is where the majority of the undersea mining is going to occur near the United States. Excuse me. So you're going to wipe life out of the United States. How about all the orchards and the food that's produced in California? Do you want to see life wiped out and from that area? Well, the way to deal with that is to not to ban undersea mining. We don't need that. We don't need to deal with cell phones. We can go back to using cash again and cash registers, and we don't need to have all the cobalt. We don't need to do that kind of thing. We can go back and do things that in such a way that it goes up, and it's always evolving to the higher level by doing things like this. We don't have to have the U.S. Supreme Court, for example, ban abortions and then have this big, huge conflict about rights, unalienable rights. It's our unalienable right to live in a pristine environment. And where the weather is moderate and we can live comfortably and live in peace, that is our unalienable right to do that. But when we do undersea mining, when we use nuclear weapons, and I'll tell you why nuclear power has to be banned in this. It's because the scientists haven't figured out yet something that we were told at the prayer circle years ago, that every atom is a universe, that there is a God within a God within a God within the God. And if you watch that first Men in Black movie, this last scene when they keep pulling back and going back, panning back, they go back and back, and then all of a sudden there's these big huge beings that are playing like a croquet game and hitting a ball with a mallet. So it's like, that's pretty much what it is. We live inside Lady Gaia's body. We are part of Universe, Earth Mother, and Universe Mother. So, therefore, basically what we need to do is we need to start to address, instead of coming up with this technology that is going to be just an existential threat to mankind, we need to start getting a little bit smarter about things, about doing things that go up and up and up. And one of the things our organization wants to do is have technology review. We need to start listening to the voices of people who are not being heard, because there's some people who are in power who are there to put money in their pockets, okay, who function for their own interests and who stand on the science, but the science can be manipulated. How about the United Nations, where there's five main countries that are the permanent members of the Security Council, and they don't have, they're always looking for natural resources. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, is we're coming up with a solution. If we ever want to go out into the stars, we have to learn how to travel interdimensionally, and this is the first step, is understanding that this is our power source invention. And the technology team will go into it in greater depth, but right now, basically, this is, I still own all the intellectual property for this, because the technology team is busy dealing with security issues right now. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Ban undersea mining, ban nuclear power. Technology review is the solution. We have to listen to the voices. Thank you. I ask you to like, share, and subscribe. Please share, because this information is important. Thank you.